this, all right? I don't brag or boast. I tried to do this earlier in the day and I ran into some technical difficulties. You know, the wife had to do some shopping, this, that, and the third. But nevertheless, I'm here. All right. So we're going to be talking about the trade that I've been telling you guys I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. James Harden finally got his wish, and now he's a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, James Harden has been campaigning to leave the Houston Rockets for quite some time now. He has illustrated all types of things to let the Houston Rockets organization know that he does not want to be there. First, he told Rockets he didn't sign the extension. He told Rockets organization he does not want to be here. He wants to be traded. He preferred to be traded to the Brooklyn. He wanted to be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Then he went on a hiatus. Then he went on a strippers tour, gained a little pounds, looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy out there playing basketball. But, you know, as far as him being a little overweight, he still performed. And the Rockets were going to honor and respect his wish. Now, here's where things got a little hectic. James Harden, after playing several games with the Rockets, he had the sense that the Rockets organization was going to try to, hey, James happy. He's scoring. Everyone else is happy. So why don't we just slow down this rush to trade James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets? Now, and then James Harden had enough, and he voiced his frustrations about the Rockets organization as well as his teammates with Houston. And now here we are, James Harden, a member of the Brooklyn Nets. All right. And you guys know how I do this. All right. I tell you both sides of the trades, who got what, who won, who lost. Maybe both teams lost, maybe both teams won. All right. So the Philadelphia 76ers were in trying to trade for James Harden. And they was going to throw in Ben Simmons. They also was going to throw some draft picks. But Brooklyn wanted more draft picks. Houston wanted more draft picks. And the reason why that deal fell out, because the Philadelphia 76ers was not going to give Brooklyn all those draft picks plus Ben Simmons. Now, a lot of people are wondering, and a lot of people are not talking about this on the talking head networks like Fox Sports 1 and ESPN, NBC, yada, 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 all the alphabet networks, sports networks. They're not talking about, well, why the deal didn't fall through. Surely it has more to do with the Philadelphia 76ers not giving Houston a lot of draft picks, all right? So I don't know if people remember this, but Ben Simmons has always talked about when he becomes a free agent, he may go back to California. He's a California kid. The women that he prefers to date resides in California. The Kylie Jenner thing. Now everybody's memory is now catching on. I can hear the wheels turning in your back of your head. And also, Magic Johnson was supposed to trained him a couple of summers ago. And that led into a whole bunch of, Magic Johnson is tampering because Ben Simmons now all of a sudden wants to go West young man. But he always had that thought process in his mind. He's thinking about it. He's not 100% sure that he will go out west, but yet again, it's on his mind. And the Philadelphia 76ers were getting kind of scared because if Magic would have, if he would have continued to train with Magic, even though it would benefit Ben Simmons, Magic will be also talking into his ear about possibly joining the Lakers, okay? When he becomes a free agent, okay? But that's in the future. And the Philadelphia 76ers did not like that, all right? So when that story got out, everybody that wasn't even a well kept secret. So everybody in the back of their mind know that if Ben Simmons become a free agent and he starts kicking the tires around in free agency, one of the destinations he may go to, other than signing his contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, is possibly going to a team out west, maybe the Lakers. Okay, by that time, LeBron, will be a lot older, and I personally, to me, I think LeBron would retire, and Anthony Davis will be lurking around in La La Land. So that is a possibility, and that's the reason why the Rockets did not want to entertain that trade. Yes, they'll be getting some draft picks, but in another couple of years, if they would have traded with the Philadelphia 76ers, they would end up losing Ben Simmons they're losing James Harden. And they just didn't want to they just don't want their franchise going through all that after all the stuff they're going through with James Harden. They're kind of deterred of, trying to get superstars and then dealing with superstars that have other interests. Okay. So that's why the Rockets won't draft picks. Obviously, they're starting over. They're rebuilding. The window is shut, okay? And it's been shut for the past couple of years, even when James Harden was there, all right? So the Rockets got a bulk of their draft picks from, draft picks that they done lost as far as getting James Harden to Houston, as far as that ridiculous trade trying to get Russell Westbrook, and they only lasted a year. So they got a bulk of their draft picks, okay? And they just want to start this thing all over again, all right? And that's what makes the Brooklyn trade intriguing, all right? They're getting a boatload of picks. They're also getting players. Now, one of the players was LeVert. Oh, Casanova. And as soon as he get traded, as well as the picks, to the Rockets, he immediately gets traded to the Indiana Pacers. Now, LeVert's going to Indiana, and in return, Houston's getting Victor Oladipo, all right, which is just a renter player. They don't really want him. They're not trying to build a team around him. They just want him. They just want him as a bargaining chip to either maybe trade him later on before the trade deadline this year, which there's a possibility that it probably won't happen, or he just simply just walks, all right? And they will save a boatload of money that way, all right? But clearly, Houston is in the rebuilding phase, okay? And they know they're not going to have anything significant on their roster for quite some time. So they're going to be cellar dwellers, all right? And remember what I told you guys in countless videos here, as well as my older channel, about the Houston Rockets when they had James Harden and Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, okay? What did I tell y'all? Every time they kept adding pieces and removing pieces, but the one constant factor was James Harden, is the Houston Rockets are not good enough to advance in the postseason. But they don't suck as much as far as, getting draft picks, getting better draft picks, okay? They can't pick early in the draft. They're never going to be in the top 10 as far as the NBA draft because their team is not that bad. They're not bad enough to get up to be worthy of a pick like that. But with talent that they have, they're not even good enough to advance further into the playoffs, okay? And that was the problem with Houston, and I always said that about Houston. All right, they're gonna always win a lot of games, score, and do set records and this, that, and the third. There was always going to be the champions of the regular season, but when it comes to the postseason, they fall flat. Okay, so that's why I kept saying that they're never going to be good enough. They're never going to be good enough to beat teams deeper in the playoffs, but they don't suck that much to where they can get they'll be in the top 10 for the NBA draft. All right, and I've always been saying that. All right, so we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff I said that came out to be true about James Harden. All right. And I've been saying this for like years, but a lot of you guys are blind witnesses, you're blind fans, and you want to take up for these athletes. But I just call it like I see it. Okay. I don't have no slight against any of them. It is what it is. Okay. So the Rockets are going to get drafted. They're going to get the majority of their draft picks that they done squandered on, as far as getting James Harden, as far as getting help for James Harden. They're going to get the majority of those draft picks back, and they're just starting this whole thing over. It's going to be quite some time for the Rockets are going to have a decent team. They're going to be like the Cleveland Cavaliers of the West for like, I say, about 5 or 6 years. All right. So what Brooklyn got was James Harden. James Harden wants to be in Brooklyn. He wants to play alongside Kevin Durant. They have chemistry. They used to be teammates in OKC, and Kyrie Irving. All right. Now, I heard this from Shannon Sharpe. Okay, and if anybody's out there that follows Shannon Sharpe, please tell him this. All right. So Shannon Sharpe went on a rant about how this is not going to work because it's going to be all offense and no defense. Okay. Now he went on this rant about how this is not going to work. There's a possibility of it not working, but that goes for every team in the NBA. All right. There's a possibility that it simply don't work. Okay. It's not, it's not the fact that, the players suck or, this, that, and the third. There's always risk when you do things like this. There was a risk when the Lakers trade for Anthony Davis. They gave up their whole future for Anthony Davis. There was a risk there, and it paid off. Okay, so Shannon Sharpe went on this tirade talking about, well, they're all offense, and that's it. Okay, and I can agree to him to an extent, but if you've been watching and paying attention to James Harden for the past couple of years, he's been elevating his defense, okay? If you've been paying attention to Kyrie Irving, particularly when he was in Boston, he was slowly but surely playing defense. And Kevin Durant, if you've been paying attention to him in Golden State, he always titles himself as a great defensive player. All right. So it's not the fact that none of these guys don't know how to play defense. When you talk about Kyrie and James Harden, they choose not to play defense. All right. But I'm pretty sure with this type of talent on their roster, they're going to start playing defense. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. All right. And this could work if somebody can pull Kyrie Irving to the side and say, hey, yo, fam, you're not Robin. All right. You're more like Alfred. Okay. You're not even Batman. All right. Kevin Durant's Batman, James Harden's Robin, and you're Alfred. Okay. Or Batgirl. All right. You're the third person on this wheel. And if Kyrie Irving can accept that, this will possibly have a greater chance of working. Number two, how I feel like this should work is Kyrie is a pure point guard. He has skills of a point guard, believe it or not. All right. And when you look at James Harden, he's a natural too. Remember 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when Mike D'Antoni was the coach of the Rockets, and he had a wild, crazy idea of letting James Harden played a point at Houston, and how I got I had a lot of crap when I told you guys that was not going to work. Because when you look at James Harden, you look at his talent, you look at his skill set, it do not apply as being a point. He had a wild, crazy idea of letting James Harden run the point similar to Steve Nash, okay, so he can recreate magic. I told you guys that was not going to work, and it did not work. It was so bad, they was in the running to get Chris Paul from the Clippers, okay? So I kept telling you guys that was not going to work, all right? So you got James Harden as a 2, and then you got Kevin Durant, who can play multiple positions as your 3, all right? So as long as Kyrie can, I feel like the offense is going to run on Kyrie, okay? Kyrie is going to be the engine of the offense, all right? He's going to push the ball up court. He's going to always have the ball in his hand, and he's going to make the decisions on every possession, all right? He can easily throw it to James Harden, who has the best quick step in the NBA. And teams are going to have to make a decision. Are we going to double on Kevin Durant and he's still going to score 30 or 40? Or are we going to double on James Harden and he's going to dance enough to where he's going to get to the basket? Either he's going to score or he's going to go to the free throw line. And this guy is phenomenal on the free throw line. All right. So that's the poison you're going to have to deal with if you're the opposition. Okay. Now, we talked about the defense. We talked about the players in general. The one thing I want to talk about before before I leave is this another thing. A lot of people are talking about how, okay, Kyrie is a 1, James Harden may be a 2, but he's really a 1, and you got 2 guys who has the same skill set. Thanks for the thumbs up. You got 2 guys that have the same skill set on the same team. All right, they virtually play the same position. You've been hearing a lot of people talk about that. All right, now if we was talking about the 80s and 90s, that would probably be a problem. But when you're talking about today's basketball, you can go all the way back to the Miami Heat when they had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were ISO players. They were pretty much the same player that can cope for the same position. All right. When you talk about the Golden State Warriors, okay, the Golden State Warriors, Steph is a point. All right. No, let me rewind that back for a little bit. All right. When you talk about the Clippers, Kawhi and Paul George, they pretty much have the same skill set, and they play pretty much similar positions. All right. But they flourish with the Clippers. Okay. So when you look at the dynamics of the Brooklyn Nets, and when people say, oh, well, Kyrie and Harden, they're pretty much the same identical players. They're both ISO players. They're both going to be holding on to the ball. I mean, they're the same damn player. And but if you look at the league, particularly today's league, you got a lot of players on teams that have the same skill set, and you got like a small forward playing a 2. You got a 2 playing a small forward because they already have somebody on that roster that has that same skill set already on that same position. All right. And that's what this is going to be with the Brooklyn Nets. But like I told you, like I told everyone, Kyrie is a pure point guard. He has the skills of a pure point guard. James Harden could probably play the point, but his natural position, and if you look at his talent, he's a two guard. All right. So I don't see where, like Shannon Sharp said, oh, that's too many players for one ball. Well, that's the same type of problem you have with all successful teams in the NBA. Okay? Now, if they were coached up by a Hall of Fame coach, easily, good night, everybody. They would win the title. Easily. Flat, hands down, they will be winning the title. All right? But they have a coach in Steve Nash that's a coach in training. All right? And I have questions and concerns about Steve Nash. Now, on the good side of that, they got Mike D'Antoni. He's one of the most brilliant minds when you talk about offensive basketball. Okay? And he can make this work. All right? So with Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash combined, I think that's it. I wish they had a Hall of Fame coach, but they don't. But I mean, that's second best in my opinion. All right. So when you look at all this, I mean, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they pose a threat in the East. The Boston Celtics, y'all gonna have to upgrade if y'all want to compete with the Brooklyn Nets. All right. Sorry. The Miami Heat, y'all gonna have to upgrade to compete with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry, all right? Hate to tell you that, but I'm sorry, okay? The Philadelphia 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, y'all gonna have to do some little upgrading if you want to compete with this team. Now, when you look out west, you got the Clippers and the Lakers, all right? And between just those two teams alone, you obviously got Utah, you got Memphis, okay? Yeah. But when you look at just those two teams, they're going to have serious problems defending all three of those players because they just don't have enough. They just don't have a third banana to defend the other player. Obviously, one of these players are going to be single coverage, and you're going to have to pick your poison. Is it going to be Kevin Durant that's going to be single coverage? Or is it going to be Russell Westbrook? James Harden that's going to be single coverage. And both of those players alone can create. And you're going to need someone to double up on both of them. All right? And therein lies the problem. If Kyrie Irving can just handle his business, if Kyrie Irving can just simply handle his business and just facilitate and be the point guard, and every once in a while you get yours sometimes, this would be I think they're going to win the title this year. If two things are going to have to happen in order for them to win the title. They're going to have to figure this stuff out. They're going to have to figure it out playing with all three of them at the same time. They got to figure that part out. And then Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash is going to have to orchestrate an offense that's going to benefit their talent, which I have with Mike D'Antoni. I have no problem if it's going to be him. Steve Nash, I have concerns and doubts about him because this is his first real big gig as a head coach. All right. Now, a lot of people are saying this big three is better than the Golden State big three. That's what I really wanted to talk about. And I don't think this big three is better than the Golden State big three. Why? Because you had three players that can play off the ball. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. With this big three with Brooklyn, James Harden, his best attributes is with the ball. Kyrie Irving, his best attributes is playing with the ball. All right? So I think the Golden State big three is a lot better than this big three in Brooklyn. I see them, if they can figure this thing out, how to play and coincide with one another, which I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. And if Mike D'Antoni can create plays for these three guys to make them all happy, all right? And if Kyrie Irving can just sacrifice his touches for the benefit of the team, they can win a title. Now, here's another problem for the Brooklyn Nets that they're going to have to address in the next couple of weeks. They're going to have to, their bench, after doing that trade, their bench is depleted. They don't have a deep bench. All right? They do not have a deep bench. They don't have anybody on that bench that they can depend on to give them a handful of points, okay? Or to get a stop, okay? And that's scary. So they're going to have to go, if there's a if there's an NBA player that hasn't been signed yet that's on the street, they need to kick the tires around for that person. Now, they also said that they're not done trading, all right? So maybe there's a piece on another team that they can pick up through via trade, but their bench is depleted. They don't have, and they don't have that deep bench that they once had, because they had to trade a lot of those players to get James Harden, and you don't have a future picks. All right. If this doesn't work, you can always say, well, we can always, replenish this roster with our draft picks. That's not going to happen, fam. All right. So my thing of it is, there's elements that this cannot work, but those elements are not as severe as it working. I feel like this can work because Kevin Durant could be he's not a selfish player. Kevin Durant can play off the ball. If Kyrie Irving, if Steve Nash or Mike D'Antoni can pull Kyrie Irving to the side and say, yo, look, fam, we're trying to win the biggest prize, which is the NBA title. And in order for us to do that, you're going to have to you have to give up some of your touches. All right? If Kyrie Irving is cool with that, fine. Then this is really going to work. Now, another thing I feel like that a lot of people are not talking about, now Stephen A. Smith talked about it a little bit, is the fact that Kyrie Irving's interest as far as playing basketball is like on the back burner. And he has other interests other than playing basketball. And as long as he stays out to take care of himself, I don't know what's going on with Kyrie Irving. All right, it may be something serious, or maybe a fad where he's just not into basketball right now, but he will be later on. But whatever the case may be, there's a possibility, and Stephen A. Smith said this, that Brooklyn probably did this trade with James Harden knowing that Kyrie Irving may not come back, or maybe contemplating retirement, and there's a possibility they could void his contract. Okay? Now, Stephen A. Smith, when he started talking about it, he started saying, now look, this is not 100%, okay? This is not this, so don't take this to the bank, all right? And I would say the same thing to you guys. Don't take this to the bank. There's a possibility where he's just not feeling it right now. He might want some me time, and he wants to step away from basketball, okay? That's a possibility. But that's the only thing I can see where this would have problems. Okay, I'm gonna turn my light off, guys. Oh shit, I can't. Well, I gotta wrap this up then. So I gave you guys the pros and cons. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys who won, who lost. Okay, I feel like this is one of those situations where Houston had no choice but to make this trade. They're getting a bunch of draft picks that they lost, uh, that they lost, and they got the bulk of them, and they can just go ahead and start the rebuilding process. Go ahead and start from scratch, which I told you guys that was their whole plan from the word go. Now they can rebuild. They don't have James Harden, all right. Uh, they got Boogie Cousins and they got John Wall. Those are some decent pieces, but they're not going to be pieces that's going to win you the title, all right. So, uh, you know, they're just going to continue business as usual, rebuilding this thing, starting from scratch. And the players that they already have, that they already drafted, I forgot that power forward that they drafted. He impressed me a lot. So that guy's got a bright future with the Rockets, and all they got to do is just keep adding pieces like that. All right. When you look at Brooklyn, they can win the title this year or next year, or they can win in this year and next year. All right. This really put a damper on LeBron James. Again, if LeBron James back on his second stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would still give him a puncher's chance. But looking at the Lakers roster, they can't get a third superstar, which LeBron was campaigning for that when Kawhi was a free agent. Okay? A lot of people seem to forget this. LeBron wanted Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard to play alongside him so he can have his big three in La La Land with the Lakers. All right? And Kawhi chose the Clippers. All right? So you got a big two with the Lakers, you got a big two with the Clippers, and you got the Mavericks, you got the Jazz, you got the Phoenix Suns, you got the Grizzlies, you got all these teams, but really when you stack these teams with Brooklyn has three pure superstars. Now, they need to build their bench back up because their bench sucks right now. All right. And they need to add more pieces to the roster. But if they can do both of those things, I think Brooklyn is in line to win the title. And also, Kyrie's going to have to agree to be the third banana. Kyrie is going to have to accept the fact that he's the third banana. If Kyrie can do that, then this can go into title land. All right. And personally, and I said it in the live stream, you're gonna have to pick your poison. Okay, are you gonna double KD or are you gonna double James Harden? Me personally, I would still double KD. Take my chances on James Harden because maybe he might have an off night. Maybe he'll have a bad night. Or Kyrie's ego getting in his way. And then Kyrie just says, F that. I'm taking over. All right. And you just got to pray that happens. But, and I got another live stream about today's basketball. And I was talking about this in my video a couple of days ago. I'm not going to have time to talk about it today. I'll talk a little bit about it. How nobody wants to compete against one another. Everybody's in this kumbaya, let's play together type of movement. And that's what's wrong with today's basketball. But I got to go, man. I got to get up in here. I really do appreciate the likes. While everyone's still in here, hit the like button. I really do appreciate y'all do that. And I will catch y'all guys on the next one. But like I said, I wanted to do this earlier in the day. I ran into some technical difficulties. My wife wants to shop and yada, yada. I killed that stream. I said, I'm not going to let y'all fast forward to the good parts. I just go ahead and just redo the damn stream all over again, and that's exactly what I did. And yes, I'm in the dark, but I wanted to talk more, but it's just one of those things. But I will holler at y'all guys on the next live stream. I really do appreciate you guys coming in. Oh, comment in the comment section what you think about what I said thus far. What you think about Brooklyn? You think Brooklyn is going to win the title this year? And like I said, with any team, when you trade for another piece, there's always risk there as far as it not working. Okay? There's risk in everything. All right? That's why you take a chance. Now, I will say this. Between what the Clippers done, what the Lakers done to build their roster, and now when you look at Brooklyn, if you compare just those three franchises, I feel like Brooklyn has a greater risk, okay? Because when you look at the Lakers, and when they traded, and when they got Anthony Davis, there's a possibility that wasn't going to work. Remember, Anthony Davis was in and out of the lineup with New Orleans. He could never stay healthy. And that was the risk about him. Can he survive a full season? All right? And that's still yet to be determined. Okay? But they want a chip with that. And when you look at the Clippers, okay, you got Kawhi and you got Paul George. They pretty much play the same position. And then you got these other players that was already with the Clippers, how they was going to gel, and that there's a risk in everything. But I feel like out of those three franchises, Brooklyn has the greater risk, okay? Because you got three superstars here that are accustomed of running their own team, all right? But I feel like with KD, the type of attitude he is, he's not a guy that, wants all the credit, wants all the touches. He's the type of person that could play with different type of talented people, okay? But we're just gonna have to wait and see, man, because like I said, this could blow up. Just like anything in life, when you trade or you buy a business or you buy a car or a house, whatever, there's always a risk factor. All right, and this could potentially blow up in the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, but I feel like the greater the greatness of this happening will always outweigh the bad of this. The possibility of it not working, and you're gonna have to, like I said earlier in the last year, you can rewind what I said. I feel like out of all three of those players, Kyrie Irving is going to have to be like the Chris Bosh of the Brooklyn Nets. He's just going to have to just accept the fact that he's the third guy on the wheel. And I remember Shannon Sharp said this. Well, he didn't like playing alongside LeBron James, and he was the second man on the wheel. I don't know the relationship between LeBron and Kyrie Irving. I keep hearing a lot of stuff about that, and I felt like it was more to do with he was treated like a kid under LeBron James, because LeBron James called him a kid a couple of times and he just did not like it. And Kyrie Irving is a weird, unique type of individual, okay? Who takes things a little too seriously, all right? And I'm pretty sure LeBron didn't mean nothing by it, but like I said, in locker room talk, I mean, I don't know their communication inside the locker room. Maybe LeBron took it there a couple of times and maybe joked about it, this, that, and the third, and it just rubbed him the wrong way, and that's why he left Cleveland to join the Boston Celtics. Okay, so I don't know what really, I don't think anybody knows what really happens, okay? But that's just one of those things, okay? Damn, I said I was going to leave, and I'm still here. All right, so I got to go, guys. So I will talk to you guys on the next video and live stream. I probably upload a video or a live stream next week. I'll holler at you guys later. Deuces, I'm out of here. One.